Get started. Welcome, everybody. I am Denise Mays, and I am the Director of Enrollment for the Strozzi Institute. And what a joy it is to see all of your faces here today for July 2023 Community Dojo. I'll be managing the tech for our call today, and later on, I'm going to share some contact information and some free opportunities and ways to connect and practice, along with details on upcoming somatic coursework at Strozzi Institute. And as a reminder, when you sign up for the Community Dojo, as you have today, you will also receive a recording of our call today, along with access to past recordings of past practices with Strozzi teachers. So it is my pleasure to introduce our topic today, which is Depthful Connection and Community. Who do we surround ourselves with? And it's also my distinct pleasure to introduce our Strozzi teacher, LeeAnn Mallorie. Welcome, LeeAnn.
Thank you, Denise. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. Please take it away.
All right. Well, welcome, everyone. It's great to see you all. I'm excited to be here with you. It's been a little while since I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to do a community dojo practice with you. Denise really set our context well, but I want to share a little bit to continue to set us up about our topic for today, as well as who I am and kind of what you've gotten yourself into here. So my name is LeeAnn Mallorie, as she said. I have been in training and teaching here since about 2007. And this work is really deep heart and passion work for me. So a few things about me. I currently reside in Boulder Creek, California, the original migratory land of the Owasso people, San Lorenzo Valley watershed, about an hour and a half south of San Francisco. My pronouns are she and they. And I came to this work, to some extent, I came to this work as an executive coach by profession and training at the time. But in my embodiment, I would say I came into this work as an athlete. So I really came to the work of somatics as a person with a dance background. Kind of my first love was really movement. My first language was probably movement. But a lot of what I had lived and what I had grown in my practice at that time in my own body was a lot of performance. How to do things right, how to do things with a certain level of perfection, how to make my body behave in the ways that I wanted to. And when I met Richard in 2007 and discovered that it was possible to use the moves of Aikido to do healing or to learn something about oneself, like the whole thing that I was up to in the world started to make more sense. It brought some pieces together for me. So it's been a long and beautiful journey of this work. If you're fairly new to this work, I really welcome you. And there's a whole very deep rabbit hole here, and I mean that in absolutely the best of ways. Today, what I do for a living is I teach for the Strozzi Institute as a lead teacher on intro courses and leadership courses. I also run a women's leadership business called Guts and Grace, where I teach principles that help women unravel the way they may have embodied the patriarchy. So this is my work both inside and outside of SI. And I live here in the Bay Area, as I mentioned, with my partner in a somewhat complicated, long distance, close distance, interesting relationship that I really credit the possibility of being in a good way to these tools. So this is me, and our topic for today is Depthful Connection and Community. And really the way I'm thinking about this topic is that kind of bottom line, our soma is shaped through our relationship with others. Therefore, we really can only truly heal in community. So who we surround ourselves with, as Denise mentioned, really makes a difference. And also, if we want to open ourselves up, for example, to new experiences, deeper community, new connections, to keep evolving and expanding ourselves, or let's say we are in a process of healing or growing, evolving, and expanding, then we might want to be opening ourselves up to different kinds of relationships, to building new community. And how do we do that? How do we do that in a way that we feel safe? How do we do that in a way that we can really let ourselves be met? How do we do that in a way that really creates new possibilities for us? So the session is going to be, I would say, less about who, like making the choice, although there'll be some of that, but also really more how do we be in our bodies in such a way that we can let it in, that we are actually open to that. So this is the kind of practice and the game that I want to be in together. And just to speak to the world right now, it's certainly the kind of time, I think, where our communities, from the perspective of having support, of not feeling alone, of being able to stay safe, to stay sane, really make a difference. Certainly there's a lot in many different communities going on in the world right now, to name kind of a few broad umbrellas. At this moment in time, in July of 2023, we've gone through some of the hottest days on Earth. So certainly there's a lot going on with the climate crisis at this moment in time. I'm personally present in my own relationships to the pulling back of rates more and more for the LGBTQIA community, and continued physical, psychological, emotional, and financial violence against Black and Indigenous people of color, including the recent pullback of affirmative action at universities across the country here in the US. And we're also in a moment where many in a way, our structures are failing us. I was thinking about this call and kind of why I do this work, and had the opportunity earlier this year to do some traveling, and was both in India and Greece over a period of a couple of months. And around the time that I was there, or shortly after, there was infrastructure around the train system breaking down in major wrecks that lost a lot of lives. And when I think about, how do we weather something like that? How do we be in our communities in such a way that we can get through these kinds of tragedies? But also, how do we be in relationship with each other in such a way that we can listen? These were, for example, things that happened that could have been prevented if people had been communicating differently. So how do we be in ourselves? How do we be in our communities? How do we be in relationship in such a way that we actually make space for listening, and that we can learn from one another to perhaps do the work to catch the broken parts of our system and upgrade it as necessary to be able to keep living well together on Earth. So that is a little bit of what I'm coming in with. I'm sure that you all have different things on your heart. If there's anything that you want to presence around what you're tracking in the world, or just kind of what's up for you around community or relationship, or anything else of that nature right now, please feel free to do that, to presence that with us here. And I invite us just all to take a breath. We'll do some official practices in just a moment, but just take one breath and a big exhale. And in the spirit of community and care and being in depthful, intentional, meaningful relationship, if there's any community that you want to send some energy to, some good thoughts to, that may be in need of that right now, let's do that together. Thank you for that. Okay, on that note, let's go ahead and do some practice together at the Strozzi Institute. We most often will begin a training program with what we call opening practices. And often these practices include a basic practice of centering. So we'll do a little centering together here to help us become more present, more open, more connected, more connectable, and really set the tone for our call. If this is a new practice for you, it's really a body-based centering practice. You can do this practice either sitting down or standing up, or even lying down if you prefer. I'm going to go ahead and stand. So if you'd like to, I invite you to stand with me. If that doesn't work for your body in this moment, please feel free to stay sitting. And I will walk us through a centering practice. All right. As we begin, if you did stand, go ahead and notice the difference of your body upright in space in this new shape. And once again, take a deeper breath and a big exhale. And start to bring your awareness into the sensations in your body. Let yourself begin to notice one thing that you can feel. If and as you're able, let the thoughts start to drift away. If a thought comes in, let it go. And just keep bringing your attention back to the sensations in your body for this moment, whatever you can notice or whatever feels good to rest your attention on. First thing you notice is pain. You don't have to linger there. You could find another spot in your body that feels more comfortable to notice. As I mentioned, we center to get more present, more open, more connectable, more able to respond to what's coming to us. And also really to be in this moment and bringing our awareness to the sensations in our body is one of the quickest ways actually to get out of the past and out of the future and to here right now. All right, and as you pay attention to your body, if there are any places that you notice that feel relatively locked or tight, you can invite them a little bit of opening there. So it could be, for example, unlocking or releasing your jaw, maybe letting your belly out a little bit, unlocking your knees. And we're going to center together in 4 dimensions of the human body and spirit. And the first one is our length. So that is like if we're standing, the top of our head to the bottom of our feet. If we're sitting, it'll still include your feet, but the line will really be from the top of your head kind of to the bottom of your tailbone. So allowing yourself to first become present to your length. Can you feel that you have a length as a human body here? And then almost as if you're imagining creating a little more space between the vertebra and your spine, letting your spine become straight, become fully upright, allowing yourself to extend up through the spine, through the top of the head. And you can imagine here that you're plugging into what's above. So the sky, the sun, heaven, nature. And then through your feet and through the base of your tail, plugging into what's below. The earth, the soil, the dirt, humanity. Good, and then on your next breath, let's shift our attention to the second dimension, which is our width. So this is the side to side of your body. Just start by feeling out to your own edges. So you could feel for the edges of your arms, sides of your knees, edges of your torso, opening your peripheral vision, letting yourself literally maybe and also energetically get a little bit wider. If you notice that your feet, for example, where they're placed on the ground are pretty close together, you could widen your stance a little so that it's under, your feet are under your hips, whether you're sitting or standing. And then you might imagine extending your presence just a little bit beyond your own edges, side to side. So we take up space. Often as we contract, or you might pull in, for example, to let yourself out. Good, that's our width. And then we'll center in the third dimension, which is our depth. This is the front to back of the human body. So we're not just flat, we're really 360 degrees here. So feeling for a moment, since often we are looking forward and thinking about what's in front of us, let's feel our backs. How do you do that? You might just pay attention to the place your clothing makes contact with your physical back. And then feel, if you can, feel, sense, or imagine really opening your awareness to the space behind you. And then in kind of in metaphor and the spirit of things, you might go, oh, my back, like that's also including, for example, my history, my past, my training, what got me here, the community I have at my back. It's including that in your presence. Good, and then on your next breath, bring your awareness down into your insides. So you could feel for one organ. Maybe you can sense your tummy or your lungs or your heart. And then also here, as you bring your awareness to your insides, connecting with something you love, part of you that really cares, or a deep concern. Good, and then bringing your awareness to the front of your body. And let yourself be present to what's ahead. So your physical front, and opening to, being available to, softening to the future in front of you. So here we have length, we have width, we have depth. And the fourth dimension that we center in is purpose, or what matters to you. So go ahead and bring your awareness down, let's say into your belly, or kind of the place below your belly button. This is your center of gravity as a human in your physical body. And then let your body suggest to you one thing right now that matters, one thing that you care about. And let that become present too in your centering. You might say, like, let it impact you, let it shape you. Whatever that is, how does it inspire you to be in this moment as you center? Maybe it shifts your mood, or opens or softens or shores something up. If you've been in a course at the Strozzi Institute and you have a somatic declaration, you could say that to yourself or out loud right now. If not, just stay connected to what matters. Good, let's all take a deep breath, another exhale. And just take a moment to notice your mood, having gone through that practice. What's the mood that you're in right now? Like an adjective word. And then if you're willing, so that we can experience what it's like to be in community as we do this, take a moment, see if you can not let all that go, but take a moment, shift your attention just briefly to the chat and type like one word. What's your mood right now? Having just done some centering together. Give us a flavor of how you are. Julie says love, content, hope, expansive, curious, spacious. I will miss them. They're going fast. Just reading a few: tranquil, connected, settled, energized, present, determination, heavy, rooted, somber, tired, secure. Feeling the tension that I'm holding. Thank you all. We're going to do one more practice here in this moment. So if you haven't written your mood yet, you can finish what you're typing and then come on back to us. And for the sake of deepening our somatic, our embodied exploration around connection and connectability, I want to bring in one practice we don't do as often at the Strozzi Institute. We're going to work with two energies. One we might call like an arrow, or kind of a directive energy, and one we call a bowl, meaning like an open and receiving kind of energy. These can be useful in many ways around getting things done or holding space, but also just knowing kind of what our defaults are. And in the context of building connection or deepening connection, it might be that one or the other will serve in different kinds of moments. So we'll do this practice here together. If you're sitting, you can just do it again as you are, seated in your seat, working kind of from the hips up with your upper body, but also inviting the legs to feel what those energies are like. If you're standing, I invite you to put one foot in front of the other. So almost like a bit of a lunge. So one foot in front of the other with the front knee bent and the back knee straight. And just relax. Relax through your knees. And we'll try on each of these expressions, these kinds of extension together briefly, and then I'll give you a chance to kind of feel out which one maybe is a home channel or which one is more familiar, if there's one that's a little bit less practiced for you. So the first expression is going to be, we'll call it an arrow, and literally I invite you to take your hands to bring them forward and point. So you can see I'm kind of like this. If you do have one foot forward, you can kind of organize yourself such that you're going somewhere. So here I am, I'm galvanizing, I'm going somewhere, I'm organized in a forward direction. My intention is pointed, is clear. Maybe I have a goal, I'm directed. And just notice what it's like to be in this kind of a body, in this kind of a shape. Maybe this is how you do your day all the time. To really kind of get it in the body, you might also kind of narrow your eyes, point them in the direction you're going. Gather yourself, galvanize yourself. And here you could check in, like, what's the quality of this for you? Sometimes people might say, direct or focused. For some, it might show up more like mean or something else. So you may have a positive or less positive association. Just notice for you, what word do you get or words do you get if you check it out? I feel this. And then notice how you're doing this with your physical body, yeah? Let's go ahead and drop our hands. So just let your body relax, but see if you can keep that same kind of presence in a more subtle way. So perhaps you're staying narrow, your eyes are still focused. Maybe there's a way that your presence or your energetic is galvanized in a certain direction. Again, some things a little tighter or looser, short up or let out. And notice how you do that in your presence, even without the arms or the body shape. Good, and then let's let that go. So you can take your foot back if you were stepped forward. Just kind of come back to neutral. Take a breath, exhale. And I invite anyone who would like to go ahead and write briefly in the chat, like what was the quality of that, this sort of arrow posture, this arrow kind of presence for you? How did it make you feel, or what quality? Blinders, focused, resolved, hopeful, familiar, energizing, exhausting, focused and clear, tension, hardness, readiness, on purpose, tiring and fire. Singularly focused, ready but unbalanced, beautiful, burning, uncertain. Great. Warrior, can do, strength, tense until my back. I use my back a bit more. So you can see from the chat that we have really different associations or different experiences of this, yeah, including kind of like the polarity of charge. Like I felt good, I felt exhausted. I do this a lot, it was unfamiliar. There's not really a good or bad to this energy, but certainly we can wield it, or we can wield this kind of presence in a way that has certain consequences, or we can wield it, for example, maybe in a more healthy or a more centered or a more relaxed way. Although it's a little bit, tends to be more galvanizing than quote unquote relaxed. So one possibility, right, of a way we could relate. If you think about, for example, a moment that you might want to use it, you could go, well, if I need to give somebody I care about really direct feedback so that we can deepen in our intimacy together, or so that I can feel safe to keep being in this community, that might be a kind of move you'd want to make, for example, that could make sense in relationship and community. Let me give you the other side of the coin, or another option here. So if you're sitting or standing, I invite you to take just a slightly wider stance. So feet could be side to side in either case. And we'll call this kind of presence the bowl. And it's going to be more of an opening. So you're welcome to, if you'd like to actually open your arms and kind of let them be, it's hard to see on the screen, but a little bit curved. You can soften through your hips, soften through your knees, almost as if you were holding a giant beach ball. And the arms are really just to give you the experience of it, and then we'll do the more subtle version in a moment. But let yourself feel, okay, in this kind of presence with my arms this way, here's already just what comes up. And then as you do this, if you can imagine you're holding space, for example, or there's a like a welcoming to this presence, perhaps. Yeah. So letting yourself feel the difference here. We're wide in our presence versus, leaning forward. Maybe we're sat a little more back physically or energetically. Perhaps our eyes are soft. Let yourself soften your eyes and open your peripheral vision, taking things in. Great. And again, just notice if there was a quality or there were quality words, what kind of presence, how do you feel here? What do you notice? Good, and then let your arms down and just let your presence still be that way as much as you can. So how do you create that kind of experience even without the physical body shape? Again, maybe you're more connected to your back or you're sat more back. There may be a softening through the front, a wideness in your presence, even with your arms down. Eyes are softened and wide. You might have a sense of energy coming in versus going out. More of a magnetic versus electric. And you could kind of go, there might be situations where this type of presence would be useful as an alternative. I'll just take note of what word or words came up for you, and let's go ahead and do the same thing. You can let that go and share in the chat. How's that? What do you get there? Natural. Some of you type very quickly. Gathering, embrace, opening, open-hearted, tripod, abundant, ready, open, responsive, friendly, grounded, heavy, expansive. Arms took effort, but less effortful without them. Gracious, wholehearted, lifted. We like this presence here. I think there may be people who come to something like a Strozzi Institute course. Bias. Abundant effort. Felt like the unknown. Guarded and vulnerable, unsure. Grounded. Okay. Thank you for being in that practice. Let's actually close with just a little bit of an energy moving. So if you are, actually, let's not. I want to have time for what we're going to do next. So thank you. Take a moment to close your practice however you would like to do. Maybe just put a hand on your body and thank your body for practice. And let's come back together. I'm going to go ahead and sit. If you would like to continue to stand, you may. If you're already sitting, awesome. So like I said, if you did nothing else and just worked with these two kinds of presence in the context of connection and community, you might find something interesting. We might think of the second practice, the bowl practice, to be more of a magnetic kind of practice, a good kind of posture or type of presence, let's say for holding space. If you're someone in the room who is a coach, you might find there's moments where, this is a great way to be, or if you have an intimate partner or a dear friend, and you really want to be a good listener for them, for example. So none of this is prescriptive. I'm not saying this is when you should use these kinds of presences, but you can imagine for yourself where the places or what are the kinds of moments in relationship and connection that it could be helpful. So if you would like, I'm always a fan of also integrating through taking a note here or there if something meaningful came up for you. So since we just did that practice, if there's something that you want to take a note of and you have a notebook or something you're learning with, feel free to take a moment and just capture whatever was meaningful to you, or if there's something you'd like to come back to. And while you do that, I'm going to set up where we're going next. Okay, so in the spirit of continuing our deepening in reflection around how our soma can be more and more available to, or how could we create conditions of being open to more depthful connection and expanding and deepening in community, we're going to do a little bit of reflection and a practice on embodied allyship. And this will be a slightly modified practice to how we do it in courses. If you've experienced it in a course before, it's a little different on Zoom, but we'll do enough of it to give ourselves a taste. We will actually invite someone to come up and experience the practice in a demo. So if you already know you'd like to receive some allyship, kind of be thinking I might want to volunteer. And we'll ask for a volunteer here in a couple of minutes. Let me say a little bit about why this practice and how we'll do it. So again, I chose this topic in part because the healing that is possible in our somas, in our nervous systems, is really only complete. I would say this is kind of both my assessment through my own practice and experience, and also what we have found in years and years of doing practice together here at the Strozzi Institute. The healing can become more complete, let's say it that way, when we are doing healing inside of community, when we're not just doing it alone. And so there are different practices that can help us become more open, more ready, more available, more able to tolerate actually being in community, receiving connection, receiving support that can help us more fully complete a healing process. And here's what I mean by that. I'll give you a bit of an example. So as I mentioned, outside of the Strozzi Institute, I run women's embodied leadership circles. And inside of courses, of course, we're bringing people together for a fairly deep journey that we go on over the course of 4 days, let's say in an embodied transformation course. And in these contexts where we're growing, we're learning, we're doing somatic practice together, we're releasing things, we're calling in new parts of ourselves to come to the party. I see again and again how it's like it's one thing to do this by myself, but as soon as I'm doing this with someone else, or there's a witness, or there's another partner in the practice that I'm doing, things can get stirred up. Part of this is because most of our traumas and the things we've experienced that have shaped us over time, even the good things, generally had something to do with someone else. This moment happened when I was in relationship with this person, and then this went well, or this didn't go well, or this thing unfolded from here. And much of the ways that we have shaped ourselves were to be able to either maintain our belonging, or hold our line of dignity, or stay safe, or fill in the blank. And it's, in the context of being with others that all of that happened. So when we're starting to heal, when we're starting to open, when we're starting to change, it's one thing to kind of go in the back room and practice something on my own. And then it's another thing to be in practice with other people. And so we have some practices, including our embodied allyship practice, that really are about supporting our body and our nervous system to become more able to tolerate the kind of deep present connection that we might actually want to receive from others, so that we could receive support, or we could receive help, or we could feel safe to be in community and be with others. So this is a very rich practice. It's a practice that we often do over the course of a couple of hours, and we're going to do a small version of that in our session today. And I guess I'm not exactly sure how to transmit this. It's so rich for me. And when I just think about talking about it, it's a little hard to express, but I think the potency of the moment of all of my life, or most of my life, I've been doing something a certain way in relationship with people, and kind of like getting the same result, or worried about, or feeling like the same result will happen. And then I have an experience for the first time, or one of the first times, of I showed up a little differently, and the thing that I was worried was going to happen, or the thing that always happens, didn't happen in the same way, and something else happened instead with the person on the other side. It's like magic. It's like, in that moment, wow, a whole new world is possible to me. And that often is what's happening in relationship. And it's a really, from a somatic perspective, a really critical part of the nervous system reprogramming or upgrading, that helps us go, oh, I've grown in some way, and it's safe to be different, or the world has shifted around me in some way. My old story isn't as true, and it's safe to be different. So this moment happens when we're able to really be in connection, in community, in relationship. And on the flip side, as we work with our nervous systems to be able to tolerate being in those kinds of spaces, we're likely to have more of those kinds of moments, and our healing can happen more quickly. I hope that makes sense and or is intriguing at the very least. So I want to give you just a moment to reflect for yourself. I'm going to put a couple of questions in the chat, and we'll do this fairly quickly. But if you'd like, you can just sit and kind of think or reflect on this, or if you'd like to journal, you're welcome to take a couple of notes for yourself. So the first question, we'll have just about a minute here to answer. First thought, best thought, just write what comes to mind. When was a moment that you felt safe enough to experience healing or growth through connection? When was a moment that you felt that or experienced that? Maybe never, maybe not recently, that's okay. If you can think of one, go ahead and write it down. Maybe it was a small thing, or maybe a lot of times, and you have a lot of this. Thank you, Quentin. And then if something has come to mind, you can answer the question, what were the conditions in place that made that possible? So who was it? How were they being? When did it happen? You don't have to answer all of these questions, but maybe it was, I felt safe, and I was able to experience that because of this person, or how they were being, or when it happened, or what the conditions were around it. So whatever feels like it kind of lights up for you. And if you haven't had a moment, or haven't had a moment recently of feeling that, what do you imagine would be the conditions? Thanks for putting these in the chat. I also really invite you just to take your own notes so that you can come back and be with them later. I'm reading the chat just so you all know, and I'm not going to read it out loud in case folks are doing their own reflection. And then if you would like to, you can also answer the question, what new possibilities did it open? What was possible for you in that moment that hadn't been before? Okay, so you can come back to these questions again if you would like, meaning there may be a whole world of richness, again, in the spirit of Who do you surround yourself with? How do we create or open ourselves up to more depthful connection and community? If you've answered things here, we always say the body learns on yes, and this would be an example of like a yes, like, oh, that worked. Could I do more of that? How could I create those conditions more, invite that in? A few things in the chat. So Jana said, or Yana said, when the other person opened up first, for example, I'll just read a few. It felt wonderful to be able to share in this today, visiting parents, calming confidently about family history. We established mutual respect. The conditions were trust and unconditional acceptance. How the community space was arranged. In the physical space, it was heartful. The person was interested, open. A big deeply understanding each other, able to let guard down. Beautiful. Thank you. So you can kind of feel the energy of this. What I want to invite is if there's anyone in the room who would like to experience briefly a practice of embodied allyship, I invite you to volunteer and come off of mute, and I will let you know. So we're going to do just briefly a taste of the embodied ally practice. This is a practice that is about receiving kind of somatically some allyship on your own terms. And it is a practice that helps to build your muscle to receive or to be with others and be in meaningful connection in community. So it's a practice that kind of gives your nervous system a chance to feel what it's like and just practice letting it in for a few minutes. It can also be a practice that can release or move some stuck energy if you haven't always felt safe or dignified or seen in connection or community. Let's see, let me check with Denise. Do we have a volunteer? And if so, could you help me invite someone?
I sure do. I see a few folks. I see Janet Parks has her hand up. Janet, if you could please take yourself off mute, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight you as well so that we can all see you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for volunteering.
Mm-hmm.
Will you share with us just a little something about why you volunteered and what speaks to you about the possibility of receiving a little allyship right now?
Oh, well, my example in the exercise was from yesterday with my partner. I asked to share, well, let's see, I don't need to tell the story, but I'd love to expand there with making space for both of us to express more and understand more instead of kind of having friction.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for volunteering.
Yeah.
What we're going to do in a moment is we're going to be in a configuration where I will be practicing allyship with you. Sometimes we do this practice. We'll actually bring in more people, but for the sake of time, we'll do it briefly, just you and I together. Mm-hmm. And what it looks like is that we'll, in the ethers here on Zoom, we'll stand side by side. And I'll give you an opportunity to just let yourself feel that someone is with you. And we'll imagine that we're kind of in different configurations, like I might be at your back, I might be at your side. And then if there's something that you'd like me to say in support of you, or a way you'd like me to say it, or a way you'd like me to be in my own presence, I can offer that as part of what you'll get to experience. How does that sound?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So let's do this. Let's just, I know we're both, folks can see us, we're both here on Zoom together. So we can imagine, Janet, that we're standing side by side here. And just let your body kind of soften, relax, feel. And take a breath if you would like. And just feel what it's like to have somebody who is with you. There's nothing you have to do. don't need to work hard for my attention or approval or love or care, anything like that. You just get to be. And as we're in this expression of kind of standing with each other, I want you to know that I am with you. I'm on your team. I'm at your side here. But if there's something to do, we're going to do it together. And just let your body take that in. Good. And then for a moment, let's just imagine that, we were in a room together, let's say, and I'm going to bring my presence to actually stand in front of you, and not in the way of like we're lining up, but like anything that's going to come at us, I'm going to like be a shield for you. I'm going to block it. I'm going to be at your front. Like I've got you. So you're not alone. Nothing's coming your way. I really got the front line here. You're safe. And just let your body receive how that is. Maybe you like it more or less. Doesn't matter. Just notice. All right. And then let's imagine for a moment as we do this, that I'm actually coming back behind you and I'm going to stand at your back. And so now I've got your back. You're not alone. If you're going somewhere, I'm going to follow you. But also I'm going to watch the back. I'm with you. I'm going to back what you're up to. Back your perspective. Okay. Let's pause, take a breath. And just briefly, anything you want to share, like what you noticed, what you felt, how that was for you.
It was super sweet. I knew you were on my right side for some reason. That was the side where you were. And I love that being shoulder to shoulder.
Like that was the one that had the most juice for you.
Yeah. And I was a little surprised because in the past, sometimes having someone have my back was super important. And I have some back issues that made it extra, just scoliosis, but made it extra loving and supportive when someone's at my back. But I liked it side by side.
So we're going to do one more round and we're going to do it how you liked it, because this is a practice of allyship on your terms. So I'll come back to your side here in metaphor and in the ethers. And I want to ask this, if you were to shape my presence, like what quality do you want me to be bringing here at your side? Give me a couple of words to describe how you want me to be or feel.
Oh, something about pace coming up first, like similar pace, match my pace.
Similar pace, match your pace.
But that's not required either. Like sometimes it could be really nice if your pace was like encouraging in terms of being a little faster. Like, oh, we could do this. We could do this.
Similar pace, a little bit encouraging. And then is there a phrase or something I could say that would really have you feel allied with?
Oh, something of enjoyment. I love this. I love doing this. It's so fun to be with you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's try that on. So I'll offer that kind of allyship for a moment, and then we'll see how you're doing before we wrap here. All right, so Janet, I am at your side. We're doing this together. We're going at your pace, but really I'm also here in encouragement of you. And boy, I love this. Let yourself feel. Let you see if you can let that in. I love this. I love doing this with you. It's fun. I'm really enjoying myself. I'm really enjoying being here. Enjoying this. I love this. Yeah, this is good. I love this. Yeah, enjoying it. I'm enjoying being here with you. I really love this. Yeah, this is great. I love this. I'm glad we get to do this together.
Feel teary. That's so nice.
What do you know? It's in your body.
In my body, it's something up and forward. It's uplifting and forward moving, along with feeling this warmth towards you at my side, and that we can do this together. And it's a joy. I feel joy that you feel is joyful. And it just reverberates like two logs in a fire of being good.
Thank you. All right. Are you open to if folks put reflections in the chat? Just so we look at
Yeah.
Folks want to put not assessments, but uplifting comments. How was it? What did you get? Or mood, folks, if you'd like to share. So Janet, thank you for practicing with us. I really appreciate your volunteering, and may this be, a bit more opening on the path of being able to receive and have experiences like this again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Grateful.
All right, thank you, everyone. Let me see how our chat is doing. I'm sure we have a lot here. Okay. Some of our comments: I'm touched by the interaction, wonderful transformation, isolation to being present. Thank you for the gift of connection, beautiful resiliency practice. Exactly. Motivational approach. Thank you, Janet. Could see the body lift. Yeah, it's amazing to watch just amazing to watch the subtle transformation in someone's presence by the experience of being together and getting to craft a little bit how that happens. So there's much more where this all came from. And I want to invite Denise to come on for a couple minutes and share just a few things with you. And then at the end, I'll come back and I'll close us up. Let's see, Denise, are you here?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Janet, and thank you, LeeAnn, for stepping us through that beautiful practice. And very briefly, what I'd love to do is I'd love to share with you a little bit of what I can do to support you in your somatic journey with the Strozzi Institute. And I'm going to be putting just really briefly a few things in the chat that I hope will be helpful. And this is my contact information, and this is really the most important. So please keep this, grab this before our call ends today. Let me know how I can support you in questions about our methodology, about coursework online or in person. And then here is another really important also link as well. And this is our course calendar. And so this is what we offer, what's coming up, and also what something to share with you in August here, which isn't far off, hard to believe. We're going to be announcing our 2024 calendar. So we're going to have all of our coursework that we're going to be offering here in the United States and all over the world. As I see, we have such an international community here. So I want to share that with you as well. Briefly, for those of you that have had an opportunity to step into coursework with us, whether it be online or in person, we have a weekly practice that is very similar to what we're doing today, in that we step into practice with the teacher and step into and connect and continue to embody and deepen into all of this beautiful information. And that is called a return to center. Please grab that link if that's something that you might want to step into. And also briefly, I want to just send a couple of dates on embodied transformation, which is our foundation course. We do allyship. We do a lot of the practices that LeeAnn shared with us today. These are the upcoming courses that we have, our foundation work for all of our pathways. And this is in the United States, it's in Oakland, it's also all around the world. And for those of you that are interested in any advanced coursework, so continuing to embody and deepen into our foundation work, here's somatic body work that's coming up here. This is going to be happening in about a week, and then also in October. And also really what we are known for here at Strozzi Institute is our somatic coaching program. And we have started offering this in Europe. We're so excited. Our inaugural program will be in Rome, Italy. And so here are the times and the dates that we're going to be offering that. Contact me, play around on our website to see how you would get information about that. And then finally, want to also share another way to step into community, which is through the Soma community, which is our online platform. And join us here with other practitioners, other coaches, other people that are interested in somatics. Please go in there and take a look. And then also wanted to end with, we will be sending out a recording of this call. You'll be getting that on Friday. And so please look for it there. And also know that there's an archive of other courses, of other classes and other practices that we've had there as well. Here's my name one more time in case you need to contact me. Please consider me a partner in your somatic journey here with us at Strozzi Institute. And so I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to LeeAnn, and she's going to close out our call today. And it's been such a pleasure to see you all today. LeeAnn?
Thank you, Denise. Thank you, everyone, for coming. It's been a pleasure to be with you. I want to invite you to just check in with your mood right now. If you'd like, you can put it in the chat. My current mood is delight. And thank you for staying. Thank you for receiving some information about where we're headed and where you could join us again. I will be teaching the Embodied Transformation, co-teaching the Embodied Transformation course in August. So if you're on the docket for that one, I will see you there, or if you'd like to be. And I'm going to close this out with one of my favorite poems by the mystic poet Hafiz, because I think it speaks to where we've been today. It's called What Happens, and it goes like this. What happens? What happens when your soul begins to awaken your eyes and your heart and the cells of your body to the great journey of love? First, there is wonderful laughter and probably precious tears, and 100 sweet promises and those heroic vows that no one can ever keep. But still, God is delighted and amused that you once tried to be a saint. What happens when your soul begins to awaken in this world to our deep need to love and to serve? Oh, the beloved will send you wonderful and wild companions. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and may you meet along your journey many wonderful and wild companions. We'll see you all soon.